years ago, a submersible called the Titan imploded while descending to the Titanic. 5 people, instant death, a pressure so intense it would turn the human body into something unrecognizable. I made a video back then that went viral because I said what a lot of people were thinking but were too uncomfortable to say out loud. It's kind of usual for me. I don't believe they were ever going to recover remains, the bodies. And honestly, 2 years later, I still don't believe they recovered anything. After news broke that they had recovered the submersible, people ran to my page and they were like, "You said they weren't going to recover human remains." And I'm like, yes. And what human remains did they recover? Because they never actually said. And I swear to you, I don't think they found anything. I think they literally just said that so the media would back off. This was a media circus storm. Is that a thing, a circus storm? I don't know, but it is now. They built up when we knew these people would run out of air, even though they already knew that they were dead. And now the Coast Guard just gave us, oh yeah, we found human remains and that was it. But what did you find? Morbid me wants to know, what did you find? I am telling you from the bottom of my heart, I don't think they found anything. I think it was a lie. I think it was just told to us to end the story. The epic conclusion was they didn't find anything. And the truth is that we're never going to know the full truth because we only know what they've told us and what the media has said. There's no autopsy report. There's no nothing. It just doesn't sit right with me. And today I want to walk you through exactly what happens to a body in an implosion, what the media got wrong, and why the Little Mermaid might actually be the most accurate thing we've got. So let's get into it. Section 1, the timeline of the Titan. Let's go back to the beginning, because before we even got into science or recovery, we need to talk about what the public experienced. June 18th, 2023, the Titan sub launched into the North Atlantic. 5 people aboard: Stockton Rush, Hamish Harding, Paul Henry Narglet, Shahzad Dawood, Suleiman Dawood. They were heading to the Titanic wreck 2.4 miles below. The vessel had 96 hours of oxygen, that's what we were told, and the media ran with it. We were literally counting down the hours. News anchors breathlessly tracked oxygen levels like it was a game show. Only 40 hours left. They've got 12 hours left. Do you remember that? Does anyone else remember that? People were refreshing Twitter like it was a live sport, but the thing is, they were already gone. Communication with the sub was lost just 1 hour and 45 minutes into the descent, and that's early. But the media painted a picture of 5 people trapped, slowly running out of air. Meanwhile, the US Navy already knew. They had picked up acoustic signatures of an implosion on the day it went missing. And yet, the search continued. The public was strung along, maybe even the families were. I would be super curious to know that. On June 22nd, they found debris near the Titanic. The Coast Guard confirmed catastrophic implosion. A few days later, they claimed to recover debris and presumed human remains. And that's where things start to fall apart. Section 2 is titled The Victims. So let's talk about the 5 lives lost, not just as names, but as stories. Stockton Rush, CEO of Ocean Gate, known for pushing boundaries, once said, "Safety is a pure waste." Alrighty then. Hamish Harding, billionaire, adventurer. He had been to space. Paul Henry Narglet, sorry if I say these incorrectly, but he was a Titanic expert, former Navy diver called Mr. Titanic. And Shahzada Dawood, businessman, philanthropist. And his son, Suleiman Dawood, just 19, allegedly was terrified to go. That's terrifying. He did it to bond with his dad for Father's Day. I'm a mortician, and teenagers aren't supposed to be on my table. But death doesn't care how old you are, or how rich you are, or how smart. Section 3 is titled, How Deep Sea Disasters Destroy Bodies. Now let's talk about what actually happens to a human body when it implodes. 12,500 feet equals 5,500 psi. That's like placing a commercial jet's weight on every square inch of your body. Your lungs collapse, your organs flash boil, blood vaporizes, bones obliterated. In less than 20 milliseconds, you're gone. Not injured, not even crushed. You cease to exist in a recognizable form. And yes, I still stand by my original comparison. Do you remember in The Little Mermaid when Ursula accidentally zaps Flotsam and Jetsam and they explode into sparkly little fish flakes? That's the visual. Dramatic, yes, but accurate. That is what I envision. Section 4, the deep sea's role in decomposition. Even if anything survived the implosion, the ocean would not have left it intact for long. Saltwater strips skin, dissolves tissues. Freezing temperatures slow decomposition, but not scavenging, not scavengers, if you get where I'm going with that. Deep sea scavengers, amphipods, hagfish, can strip soft tissue in under 4 days. Adipocere, that waxy, fat-preserving substance, possible in shallow water, but not here. If you had anything left after all of that implosion, it would be gone by the time the ROVs got there. Section 5 is titled Historical Underwater Deaths. This wasn't the first time a vessel went deep down in deep water, and it sure won't be the last. If we really want to understand what happens to a human body in a deep sea disaster, we have to look back at the other times it's happened, because, spoiler alert, bodies don't usually make it back. Let's start with the USS Thresher, a US Navy nuclear submarine. It was undergoing deep dive tests off the coast of Massachusetts when something went catastrophically wrong. The sub sank to over 8,000 feet. That's not as deep as the Titan, but deep enough. All 129 crew members were killed, and not a single intact body was ever recovered. What did they recover? Fragments, metal, pieces of equipment, but nothing that resembled a human being. If that sounds familiar, it should. The Thresher imploded, just like the Titan. Then there's the Kursk, a Russian nuclear sub that exploded and sank in the Barents Sea. It wasn't as deep, about 350 feet, but the aftermath was devastating. 118 sailors died. And the horrifying part, some of them survived the initial explosion. That's horrible. They were alive in the dark, freezing compartments waiting for rescue, which never came. When divers finally reached them days later, it was too late. Bodies were recovered, but not all. Some were unrecoverable, even at that depth, 350 feet, and it wasn't even a pressure implosion like the Titan. If we couldn't bring back everyone from 350 feet, what are the odds at 12,500? Then there's Air France Flight 447. In 2009, the plane disappeared over the Atlantic. It wasn't found for 2 years, even with global search efforts. The wreckage was 13,000 feet deep, deeper than the Titanic. Some remains were recovered, but many were never found. And that was a commercial airliner with pressurization, with more structure than the Titan ever had. And finally, we have Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. It vanished in 2014, possibly over the Indian Ocean. It's still missing. Hundreds of lives lost. No confirmed wreckage until a wing of the plane washed ashore about a year later. And no human remains were ever recovered, not a single one. What all of these cases show, military, civilian, submarine, plane, is that the ocean does not return its dead. Not completely, not cleanly, and not in one piece. And in few cases where something was recovered, it was partial. DNA fragments, bone shards, never a full body, and certainly not after an implosion. Death at that depth isn't just physical destruction, it's erasure. Like, it will erase you from the planet. And when families are left without remains, without answers, they're forced to grieve a ghost. So when officials say they found presumed human remains from the Titan, I say, show me where that's ever happened before. Section 6 is titled Body Recovery Logistics. So what happens in a mass casualty recovery at sea. ROVs, I'm calling them roves. Roves collect debris and anything suspicious. Fragments are bagged, tagged, sometimes even swabbed for DNA if there's any left. Medical examiners analyze for tissue, bone, DNA trace. Sometimes a funeral is held with a sealed casket containing only symbolic items. I've prepared empty caskets filled with nothing but a favorite hoodie. I've cremated love letters when there was no body to burn, because when there's nothing left, we bury what we can. So let's circle back to the phrase, presumed human remains. It made headlines, but what does that even mean? There was no autopsy report, no specific remains described. Was it bone? A piece of tissue? DNA from a zipper? They never said, and maybe that's the point. The media needed closure after that whole media circus storm they had us go through. The families needed peace. The public needed a headline. But when you work with the dead, you just know when something's off. And this felt like PR. Section 8 is titled, What If This Happened to You? I mean, I'm not getting in that sub, but I mean, hypothetically, what if this happened to you? You're 12,000 feet down, the lights are dim, the air is thin, the hull creaks, you hear a pop, then nothing. No pain, no panic, you're just gone. It's the fastest way to die, and the hardest kind of death for families to mourn, because there's nothing left to hold or say goodbye to. So final thoughts here. 2 years later, I still don't believe full human remains were ever recovered. Maybe there was a DNA swab, maybe a fabric scrap, but a body? No, absolutely not. The ocean doesn't give you back what it takes. And as a mortician, I don't need the paperwork to know when a body's gone. So thank you for watching. And if you want more death deep dives, subscribe for more. Leave your questions in the comments, and remember, death doesn't lie, but sometimes people do. And the media definitely does.